also would like to ask Lubongi Munyanya to join us. Lubongi runs Tabilulu Productions, and he's an international consultant on African arts and culture for a variety of institutions. Over the year, he has given a lot of expertise to different organizations over Congo. So thank you both for agreeing to be with us to discuss this film. The first time I saw it, I was really in shock, both because of the courage of the young people and the violence that they were subjected to. My first question, very simple: what does Kinshasa Makambo mean?
Sorry, Kinshasa is the name of the capital city of DRC. Makambo means problems. Yeah, simply. Simple. Yeah.
So this took place about 2 years ago. Elections are about to be held on December the 23rd. 23rd. How is it looking?
December 23rd doesn't look really good. It does not, because, I mean, I don't think the CENI, which is the institution that's supposed to organize the election, they have not yet reached all the districts in the rural areas to bring the machines that people will be using to elect the new president. So they're not going to use the traditional ballot. They're going to use for the first time those computers. Congo is big. I'll probably say as big as Western Europe. There are no highways if you want to go to rural areas. So no real good roads. Therefore, people use canoes. Congo has been blessed with body of waters. So you can actually get into those rural areas, but you need canoes to get there. Once you get there, you need a bike. It's really not easy. It can take you months and months. And they just started doing this. And the campaign, presidential campaign, started, I think, a few days ago. So, and December 23rd is right around the corner. So there are areas where these machines will not reach, and it will be difficult.
Do you want to add something, Maurice?
He said it all. The December 23rd elections came about as a result of pressure, the pressure that you saw from the young people. Many lives were sacrificed. The elections were supposed to be organized in December 2016, and President Kabila refused to organize the elections because he wanted to stay in power, and stay in power by any means necessary. So people had to get into the streets. The youth that you saw there, faith leaders, the Catholic Church, activists in the Catholic Church and intellectuals organized 3 demonstrations at the end of 2017, start of 2018, where more people were killed. You had the Catholic Church again stepping in at the end of 2016 when elections weren't held to facilitate a process for organizing elections. They call it the Saint Sylvester Agreement, or the December 31st Agreement, where Kabila was supposed to organize elections by the end of 2017. You're supposed to release political prisoners, supposed to take other measures to basically reduce the tension, but he didn't do any of that. He played, divided the opposition, bought some people off, and was able to extend his time in power. But by the time we The United States put a lot of pressure on him with Nikki Haley, the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. She went to the Congo in October of 2017 to put pressure on him. Neighboring countries, especially Angola, took the lead in pressuring Kabila to hold elections because the country had become so destabilized. One of the neighboring provinces, the Kasai region, where the Kabila regime had fomented conflict, people were displaced. Millions of people were displaced, and tens of thousands went into Angola, and that destabilized. Angola saw that as a form of instability. So you had the Congolese people, regional players like Angola and Botswana in particular, and then you had Namibia, basically the Southern African Development Community. Congo is a part of the Southern African Development Community, and the international community putting pressure on him, and he conceded in August of this year and said he's going to name a successor, which he did, and organize elections. But as Lubangi stated, elections are really, it's sketchy. We're not sure if it's going to happen. The only reason why he's organizing elections, and his Kabila and his majority coalition, is to secure the one thing he doesn't have. He has control of the security forces, has control of the purse strings, has control of the Constitutional Court, he has control of the so-called Independent Electoral Commission. He has all that control, but the one thing that the Kabila regime and his coalition lacks is legitimacy. He doesn't have legitimacy. With all of that, he's not seen as a legitimate leader. Now, the legitimacy he's seeking through the December 23rd elections is not from the Congolese people. It doesn't matter if he has legitimacy from the Congolese people because he has not been ruling by consensus or by the will of the people. He's been ruling by force. The legitimacy that he seeks is from the international community to say that your party is in power and your party is the legitimate leadership of the Congo. So that's what it's all about the December 23rd. If elections do happen, it's all set up for for his party to win. It's going to be chaotic if it happens. This film is so timely because it taps right into what's unfolding right now. Problems, Kinshasa, you could say CONGO Makambo, right? Problems, headaches.
I was at a screening that was organized a little bit earlier of this film, and there were conversations about the lack of women involved into the struggle. And there was actually some rebuttal to that statement. And the fact that the filmmaking process did not allow for women necessarily to be part of the film, which doesn't mean that they were not part of the struggle. So could you please elaborate a little bit on that and just say what's the contribution of women in this fight for change, for positive change, for social justice?
Well, the film, although the film shows you the youth organizing, going on the street and trying to motivate people to join them so they can go to the street and rise up and fight against the system. Women, young women, are heavily involved. But because of reason of security, safety, most of them didn't want to be filmed. So, because I mean, we know them, you know, we work with them, but they just didn't want to be, they didn't want to be on the film, and most of them, because they have families, you know, they have children, so they are like primarily caretaker of these children, and a lot of people depend on them. It was hard to watch the videos of people dying. There was a woman actually laying down on a pool of blood. So there are quite a number of women that have been killed because they were out in the street. They were leaders of a movement. So women are involved. It's just because we didn't see them, it does not mean that they were not part of it. Maurice can probably tell you a little bit about one that works with us who relays information. If you can say a few.
Yes, women are involved. They may not be the protagonists in the film featured, but they're very much involved. Whether it's assisting the youth in their strategies, in cases, getting them out, helping them mobilize and get them out of jail. When Jean-Marie was placed in a military detention camp for the second time, it was really women who took the lead to get him out. Women on the ground and women outside. They were up around the clock, mobilizing on the ground, mobilizing international support in order to get him out of the military detention camp for the second time. And right now, you saw at the end where they said Jean-Marie was captured again. He was released, and then Ben went into exile. But Christian, he was captured as well. He was captured by the intelligence services, and he was captured on November the 22nd, 2017. And just a few days ago, it was a year since he had been captured, and he remains in the hands of the intelligence services. And the women are at the forefront of leading the campaign, the Free Christian Lumu campaign, which I'll talk more about before everybody leaves, in order to try and get him out of, not out of jail, really out of the intelligence services' hands.
Do we know that he's okay there, or do we know anything about him?
We know that he's okay. Just before we were in communication with his mother. His family has been able to see him periodically, but he hasn't been charged with anything. He hasn't been able to meet with his lawyer. He hasn't, so he's, for all intents and purposes, the personal prisoner of President Kabila, because he hasn't been brought in front of a court. However, this afternoon, we got a message from his lawyer, just maybe about 3-4 hours ago, that he's going to be transferred to a regular jail. So that hasn't happened yet, but that's the word that we got from his lawyer. So we'll, hopefully tomorrow, we'll have a sense of whether or not he's actually transferred and charged and have an opportunity to defend himself, whatever those charges are that they're going to bring against him. But for people who want to stay up with what's happening with Christian, I encourage you to go to this website. It's telema.org, telema.org. As soon as you go there, a form is going to pop up. It takes about 10 seconds or so. Just put your name and email address, and we'll send you regular information. And you can use the hashtag as well, TELEMA, on Twitter to keep up. And you can also use the hashtag Free Christian Lumu. That's CHRISTIAN, of course, and then the last name is Lumu, L-U-M-U. So Free Christian Lumu, and you'll be able to keep up with what's happening with Christian.
So I'd like to open it to the floor, if there are any questions from the audience.
Thank you. How old is Kabila now?
Kabila, he was 29, right, when he first got in 2001. He's been in there for 17 years, so he's 46?
So he's still a relatively young man.
Yes.
So we're not talking about him dying off.
No.
Whose idea was it to change the voting system from paper ballots to these machines that can't even get into these interior areas?
The government in place, Kabila's government, is the one. I mean, let's say CENI, CENI, is the institution that is in charge of the elections, but it's controlled by Kabila. Now, I just want to say something very important. Everything is sort of like dictated by Belgium. Right. So Belgium wants to keep his hands in the Congo, really. So they never allowed Congolese to elect their leader. It never happened. The only time it happened, it was in 1960 when Patrice Lumumba was elected. And of course, he didn't, 2 months. Then he was taken out. Before that, they sponsored the secession of Katanga with Moïse Tshombe. The Belgians did that because they wanted to take away the control of the copper mining and all of this stuff. So since then, we never had a leader elected by the people. So, you can obviously understand that the machine, I mean, we don't know why they have to do the electronic when you know that 80%, if not 90% of Congo does not have electricity. So why would you take these machines in rural areas where people never even use the computer? It does not make sense.
Well, it makes sense if you're Kabila and the majority coalition, because for them, they just want to organize something, and they've gotten signals from the international community, just organize something so that you can be legitimate in our eyes. And as Lubangi said, we're talking about a Congo country with, I think, at the most 10% of the country people have access to electricity, right?
So how are the machines going to operate?
They have solar packs. That's what they're supposed to have with the machines. Over 100,000 machines are supposed to be delivered, and there's just huge problems with it.
Who are selling those machines?
The Koreans. It's a corporation out of Korea. It's selling the machines. As Lubangi said, the country is a huge country, so you have the machines coming in on 2 sides of the continent. A set of machines is coming in through Kenya, right? That's going to feed the eastern part of the Congo. And another set is coming through the Atlantic, where Congo borders the Atlantic Ocean, and coming up through there for the west of the country. And then they have to be distributed throughout a country the size of Western Europe that has fewer paved roads than New York City. So it's just a humongous challenge, just logistically, getting the machines to the voting, to the polls. And the Electoral Commission said that 70% of the machines have been delivered already, but there's no way to verify that. I haven't seen any verification to confirm that 70%. That means they have 30% less left to deliver in about 3 weeks. I don't know how they're going to do that. So that's the first part, the logistics. And then there's a question of just the people. This will be the first time people are supposed to, a large segment of the population, using actual computers, right? So they're going to have to be instructed as to how to use those computers. And so there goes the whole question of a secret ballot, because everybody's going to have to show you what to push. And estimated that the CENI is saying in order for the 40 million people or so to vote is to be a minute for each transaction for each vote, which is highly ambitious. And then there's also the question of training. They have to train the electoral workers to set up the machines, make sure the machines function properly, and that training hasn't been completed. So, I mean, we just look in the midterm elections we had here in the United States, and the problems that were being reported with the voting machines. In some places, like the power strips were not being delivered, and we're talking about the United States where there is electricity and there are problems. So can you imagine an environment where there's no electricity, the kind of problems that you're going to have? So the electronic voting machines, the Congolese call them the cheating machines, because it's just going to facilitate fraud, make it easier. It's certainly not going to make it easier for people to vote.
The machine is also being accused of having a software that is being programmed already to choose Kabila's candidate. So if you press your candidate, and somehow it's going to go to Kabila. So that's how people knew. I mean, it's not credible, not at all.
Yeah, good evening. I was inviting a young lady to come here, and she told me anything about the Congo is too painful. And this is really painful, because I'm looking at the film, and I don't see any solution, really. I don't see any solution. It reminds me of Egypt, where the people were in the streets marching, and then they happened to call an election, and the most organized party was Muslim Brotherhood, and they won. And the people got left out again. And I think that you all keep looking for Western solution to these African problems. To me, that is not going to work. Africa got to come up with their own solutions. This whole thing about democracy and politics, that's like a game. That is like a game. And the people never win in that. So we need a whole new way of thinking in Africa. Not just in Africa, but African people throughout the world. They need to rethink the things they're doing. We keep following whatever the Europeans do, we keep following that. That is not working for us. When will we realize that that is not going to work for us? So, my question is, what's the question, right? My question, is there any outside party? We look at Etienne, that gentleman who died, but is there any organized alternative? Because what I see is Africa has to go back to maybe these village. Kinshasa looked like a big sprawl. No way they could accommodate all those people, the government. So is there any organizing going on, let's say on the ground level, in the village level, to get people to, think about coming up with their own solutions? Thank you.
To respond to your question specifically, in the Congo itself, in a province called Oriental Province, in a district called Isangi, there's a village called Tulao, and the Congolese people in that area, about 600,000 or so of them in the district, and they have taken matters into their own hands in organizing a self-sufficient community. There's a film on it. We work with the community. It's called Mabele na Biso. That's M-A-B-E-L-E. Second word is na, N-A. Third word, biso, B-I-S-O. Mabele na Biso. There's a trailer on YouTube that you can get a side of it where just about everything in the community is self-sufficient, from the energy that they use. They have, from the financing of their projects, they have babies, young people, children, toddlers, who are trained from early age to come and put 5 cents in the pot. Not because of the amount that they're putting in, but because of the culture of relying on self first. So that's an initiative that's very powerful, and it's, we're working to spread it throughout the Congo and throughout Africa as a whole. So that's just to answer your question specifically, is that there are initiatives that are being taken up that deals with self-sufficiency, self-determination, and that's grounded in the culture of the people.
Are they allowed to actually self-determine, or are they being undermined by the government?
So far, they've been able to maintain it.
How long have they been in existence?
It took them 10 years to develop the program to the point where they've become self-sufficient, and it's a part of their culture. That it's a self-contained system. It has tremendous checks and balances. So in the community, when people put money, one of the key things that makes the initiative work is trust. So when people put their money into the pot, they know that it's going to go towards to serve the greater good. So when people put money in, they develop their own radio stations, and they announce it over the radio. When money comes out, they announce it over the radio. So the whole community knows what's going in, what's coming out, how much is there at every step of the way. So it's a system of accountability. And they're able to finance their children to go to universities, and they go to universities, and then they come back and they work in the community as a way to give back to the community, so providing them with the means for education. So it's just a very powerful program that's grounded in self-sufficiency and using the local resources in order to develop and sustain the community.
Amazing.
It's MABELE, MABELE, that's the first word. The second word is NA, as in Nancy, NA, and then the third word is BISO, BISO. The spelling of the first name is, Mabeli Nabiso. Did I say it right, Mabeli? Yes, Mabeli Nabiso. MABELE space NA space BISO. Yes, yes. And if you sign up on telema.org tonight, if you just go there and sign up, we'll know that you signed up tonight, and we'll send you a link to the trailer and articles about the village and the work that's being done. And the people who have developed it, they've been invited to different parts of Africa, to West Africa. French television has broadcast it, and it's reached a number of Francophone-speaking countries, and they're being invited to demonstrate the model in other parts of the African continent. TELEMA.org, telema.org. You just go there and sign up. It takes you about 15 seconds, 10 seconds, and we'll see who signed up tonight, and we'll send you the information on Mabeli Nabiso.
Is there another question?
I just want to say a few. I mean, I appreciate your question, but it's sad to tell you that it is very, very difficult to find a solution, simply because it's taking. I'm from Congo, so I'm going to include myself. It's taking us a long time to try to find out what the real problem is. What the real problem is. I will simply say that it's a war waged on Congolese, very asymmetric. It's like it took us a long time. We don't know what is hitting us. I mean, first, and why the war, and sometimes we don't even know that we are at war. First, remember, 85 years of colonialism by the Belgians. 1960, we didn't even have 10 university graduates. After 85, not 10, no doctors, just imagine the highest level of education was 4 years post-elementary school. That was the highest level of education allowed. So obviously the intention was to keep Congolese down. And you have to remember now, God has a way of creating talent, intelligent people, whether they go to university or not. And those people were wiped out. Once they felt like there was some type of intelligence, people like Lumumba, I can name you, Lumpungu, I can name so many people. Those people were wiped out. Congo had this traditional, they call them bush schools, whatever you want to call them, but they were like initiations. They were school system, traditional school system. Wiped out. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Wiped out. One of the reasons why we know about this is because people had to become secretive. Okay? People had to become secretive because they were infiltrated. The church came in. It was controlling everything. Okay? If you look back in the history, you'll see King Leopold II, when he was ruling that place alone, more than 10 million people were killed. And this happened again that's the model. If you look at the army, they have not changed their mission. The mission is to oppress people, get rid of those who are showing talent. That's the same model. You do not change that. For what? Now we know that people are being moved from their land. And we will find out sooner or later why they're moving people away from their villages. There was Ben, the guy who went to exile. In the movie, he was talking to his fellow man. He said, this land, it's like our DNA is linked with the land. There is no way somebody else can come in and tell us that is not your land. Now, that concept is embedded in traditional way of looking at things. That's what, there is a concept for that, shasenga. Yeah, you are linked to the land. And that concept is being taken off any type of tradition. So I was actually moved when I heard that young man say that. And once you understand that, then you'll realize that there is something bigger than what we are talking about that is happening in Congo. And this is linked with women being raped. In those traditional way of looking at things, a woman is not, it's very different compared to the woman in the Western world. Very different. In traditional Africa, let's just stick with Congo, a woman is the mother of all things. The beginning of everything. Ndalamunda. So when this woman is attacked and denied the ability to give birth, to reproduce, what are they trying to tell us? So they have injected a culture of violence against women, something that was never part of those traditions. And you see these young men out there, they are not linked with those traditions. They live in the city. If you go to somewhere upstate, I was shocked. 3 villages were removed from Congo, in eastern part. They were brought to America. 3 villages. I met them. I mean, Congolese all over the place. I said, what are you? They can't even speak the French, the official language. And I'm like, they're not Congolese. I tried to talk to them. That's when I realized that they were uprooted and taken from eastern part of Congo to upstate New York. All of them. Because they want the land. This is what's going on. I'm saying it's terrible. People don't know this. I went there, they have a chaperone, an American woman who's like chaperone, taking them around. So I was talking to them and they told me, you gotta move back. And I knew something terrible is happening to Africa. And then you can imagine minerals. So those are the minerals of the future. They will become mined, and they don't want people to identify with the land anymore. So anyway, I just wanted to tell you that it's huge and it's sad what's going on. Right, exactly.
Thank you.
There's a question here.
Yes, good evening. I have a question about the young people, persons under the age of 18, to maybe just to sort of set a guideline. You were saying earlier, from what we could see with the film, that the nation itself is in war. And you spoke of, a lot of the casualties of war being the women. But what's happening with the young persons, the really young people? I mean, aside from the persons that we did see in the movie, I'm saying in terms of their psychological makeup. And I'm saying this because I've worked with some families in this country who they're victims of police violence and police killings and so forth. And the victim is not only just the person that has been killed by the police, it's the entire family, it's the mother, it's the children, they go through a whole sort of thing. So I'm saying, and vis-a-vis that, what sort of things are you seeing that's happening to the very young? Thank you.
Thank you very much. A very, very important question. And quite often people don't talk about that. When I was born in Congo, there was some sort of like peace. I mean, I grew up there. I did not know any violence. I can tell you. I remember one day, I was a kid. I was playing with my toys in front of our house, and then my mom was behind me, and then said, "Oh my God, look at you. Look at the way you're playing." And I turned and looked at my mom. I said, "What did I do?" And she was tearing up. And she said, "I didn't believe that day would come." And I looked at my mom. I said, "What do you mean?" So my mom started telling me about Belgian Congo. She said, "This is how we grew up. Look how we grew up." I mean, she told me all kinds of stories. I was like, wow. So I didn't know anything. Then I looked at my mom. I said, "Mom, do you think it will ever happen again?" My mom said, "No, it's done. We've won this. This time you will have your country. All you need to do, Lubangi, just go to school. When you finish," and I believed my mom. I really did. But we went back to it. So my psychology and the psychology of those young men is completely different. They are very angry. I can tell you because my sister, I was able to bring my sister to this country because it was a mess. She was there. When she came in, just the way she spoke to me, how she did things, thank God I was able to. I mean, I remember for a week, I was like, who is this woman? And I knew right away that she came from a place where there was nothing but violence. They have a very, what comes out of their mouth is like harsh word. They have a very different way of looking at things, very suspicious. They don't trust anyone, even ourselves. So we have a serious problem to deal with. It's not just, electing a president, but we have to elect a leader who understands that there is a collective psychological problem in that country now. We need to bring trust. And right now, something that is rising is tribalism, because people, they don't even trust the nation anymore. Now they start falling back to their tribe, even if they didn't know much about it. So I can see that happening, and if this keeps on going, it's going to be terrible. So we need a leader who understands that type of aspect of life.
Okay, we have time for one last question.
Just quickly before, Congo, like Africa is a continent of teenagers. The median age in the Congo is 17. So the youth are not only the future, but they're the present. And unless there's some kind of intervention, things are not going to get better. What has happened with Friends of the Congo, we collaborate with Congolese who are in the diaspora, they're here and they have privilege. And they want to leverage that privilege to intervene with the young people. One young sister, she's a Congolese, her name is Patricia Lokwa-Servant. And she's established an organization called Congo Love. You can check it out on the internet, it's congolove.org. And establish it in an effort to intervene among the young people by doing several things. She's established a pact with the youth, saying that if you dedicate yourself to serving your country and your people, we're going to pay for your education. So they developed called the Lumumba Scholars, where university students get their education paid for the year, each year, and in return, they have to share with their fellow students and with their community the culture and the history of Congo and what Congo is, what Congo has contributed to the world. They also have to engage those young people who are dispossessed, the orphans, the street children, they call them shege. So she's working with the youth to develop a culture of responsibility and care for the fellow Congolese. And it is spreading throughout the Congo, where we started off in Kinshasa, and they moved to the province of Bandundu. It's in South Kivu, it's in North Kivu. And it's this sense that Congo is a land of bounty. And if we love the country, we love the land, we love the people, we can transform our current situation. So that's another initiative where Congolese are working to change the conditions and create a new society. Of course, the trauma is just, it's incredible. Dr. Denis Mukwege, he won the Nobel Peace Prize for his work with women and with the Pansy Hospital, and he'll tell you that it's not just a physical repairing of the women, but it's the psychological repairing of the women. And I believe you have the film that's running, right?
Yeah, so the film, The Man Who Mends Women, about Dr. Mukwege, is going to be running starting November 30th, which is this Friday. at Cinema Village daily for a week, and this film as well. So we're going to have them back to back for a whole week. So please, if you want to share that information with others, don't hesitate to do that.
Yeah, but the point is that there's something being done, whether it's with self-sufficiency, intervention with the youth, intervention with the community. There are Congolese who are doing and trying to change the situation.
I think that's wonderful because I agree that the solution for Africa can be trusted with Africans. And so I'm glad to hear that. I had two questions and a statement. One of my questions were, in the film there were young people that were very courageous, and I'm just wondering if this film, as important as it is to bring light to the issue, did it help those particular young people, or did it put them in danger? So that was one question I had. I recently viewed City of Joy, and that brought more of a heightened knowledge to myself personally of what's going on in the Congo. And I started doing more research, but in thinking of just history in general, in thinking about with Ben, before I go there, with Ben, when he said he came to the States and his family said go back, even though they knew what was going on, it really just grieves me. Although the ultimate solution will be with Africa, it's still because of imperial powers and colonization, America has its part in what's going on. So my question is, how can we continue to, I know you've given us a lot of information, websites, but this happened 2 years ago. Is there any major front in the States that's really, saying this is what people who live in the United States can do to reverse imperialism and our greed of the conflict minerals in the Congo, and things of that. And then just my last statement is just based on history with Americans post-emancipation under Jim Crow laws, when television came in and we were seeing things, how blacks were treated in the South, there were many people with privilege who were able to say, this is not what we want our America to be, and the civil rights and change came on. But I'm looking at Congo is different because you don't really know who all your enemies are, and there's not enough people privileged that will say, we're going to change this. So I'm really thinking back to, is it more effective to continue to film what the opposition is doing, or should it go more of what they did with in Haiti when they overthrew the French? That all happened secretive. So on one hand, it's good to know what's going on, but on the other hand, if Kaliba has appointed a successor, even if the machines are not rigged, his successor that he appointed, I'm sure is not too much of a different person than he is. So the strategies for Africa, if the message that comes to Americans like myself is, okay, what can I do, if anything? But the strategies I would say to Africa, because I trust Africa with Africa, is hush and do what you got to do to get it done, and God bless you in all your efforts.
Thank you for those questions. Whether or not it's put the youth at more risk, showing the film, that's a tough one. Because without the film, before the film even came out, they'd all been arrested and run into exile. So that was without the film. So I don't know how much worse the film can make it. Jean-Marie had been arrested 4 times before the film came out. Ben was driven into exile in 2015 before the film came out. And Christian was put in jail before the film came out. So the environment is already repressive. As it relates, just what you see in the film is just a tip of the iceberg. The youth are so far in advance today than where they were at the time of the film, in terms of their political ideology, in terms of their training, in terms of their tactics, in terms of their strategies, in terms of their continentalizing their struggle, making it a Pan-African struggle, in terms of their connecting with other young people who have had successful uprisings, like in Burkina Faso and Senegal and elsewhere. So the film, although it gives you the current situation of the Congo, it's dated in terms of the protagonists, that they're just on another level. There are dozens of Bens, dozens of Jean-Maries, and dozens of Christians who are going to be major factors in how the country move forward the next decade or so. As it relates to what's being done, Friends of the Congo, if you go to I'll give you another website, friendsofthecongo.org. We are a solidarity institution. The Congo has got, as Lubangi shared, tremendous forces working against it from the outside, and that's where we come in. And it has tremendous forces working against it from the outside because it's rich. Some say it's got $24 trillion worth of natural resources. That's just the natural resources. We're not talking about the fresh water, thousands of species of animal life and plant life, hydro capacity to light up the entire African continent should they choose to go that way, agricultural capacity to feed the entire African continent, 4 growing seasons. So it's just like rich and strategic. Not only strategic because of its size and because of its wealth and because of its location, but because of the minerals that are there. The coltan, we all need it for our phones, microphones, electronic devices. One US senator says every American has at least one device in which coltan is found. And coltan is, Congo probably has the largest reserves of coltan in the world. Cobalt, a new mineral, well, not a new mineral, but cobalt, if you're into any green technology, you go into your hardware store and you see these solar panels and solar batteries, or electric batteries rather, from Tesla to Toyota, BMW, GM, all of the auto industry now is reliant upon cobalt, and Congo has all the largest reserves. So the point is, there are external forces. Congo's mining law, it wasn't written by Congolese as to how the mines would be governed and sold. It was written by the World Bank. So you have external forces that are acting against the Congo. And that's where we come in. We can put pressure on those forces where we are, on the corporations. We can pressure our elected officials to implement laws that can work to the benefit of the Congolese, not to the detriment of Congolese. Can pressure corporations. The Justice Department, just a couple of years ago, the Obama Justice Department fined Wall Street hedge fund called Och-Ziff. They fined them about $350 million or so because they had a $100 million slush fund that they would use to corrupt Congolese leaders in order to get mining concessions for pennies on the dollar that would leave the Congolese people destitute and enrich those Wall Street guys. So probably the best reporting that you'll find on the Congo is Bloomberg, Financial Times, Wall Street Journal. because they're monitoring their investment of the copper, the cobalt, the coltan, the gold, the diamonds. So there is just a lot of money at stake in the Congo. So we have a role to play on the outside. So friendsofthecongo.org, you can go there and sign up. There's a button there for join the movement, and we'll let you know how you can be a part of the effort to act as an ally.
I just want to add, I'm sure you remember apartheid in South Africa. So the world, especially the African Americans, did a lot to pressure America, the country, to pay attention to what was going on in apartheid. If you remember, back in the 80s, when the musicians start saying no to going to South Africa to perform, that's how it started. And until we got to the point where there were boycotts, Pepsi Cola, it got really, it was a serious pressure. I mean, I was in Kinshasa. I was a student in law school. I remember back then, I was one of the lead students who were fighting against apartheid, and then we were standing up to Mobutu for this. So this is, like Maurice said, one of the things that you could do. One thing I wanted to say is this mega negative forces against Congolese, it's for real. I will tell you, in 1966, a new law was put in place. It was called Bakajika. That law took away the land from the Belgians, and then it became Congolese land in 1966. Then there was one law that they did not really pay attention to. It was called La Loi Fondamentale, the fundamental law, which said this: if you are a local, a Congolese, and you are arrested with a precious stone, you'll be put to death or in jail. So I lived this because it happened to our family. So Congolese were not allowed to be seen with a diamond or gold. Now, if you were from Senegal, that's how a lot of Senegalese got richer in Congo, from Guinea. So if you have a diamond and the secret police walks in, all you need to do is give it to a Senegalese person. So they knew this. The Senegalese knew this. Now what they will do is they will blackmail Congolese. And when the Secret Service comes in, they will share the diamond and its profit. So Congolese went, like this, since, I don't know, they can deal diamonds, which the diamonds that were underneath their feet. Until 1980, when Mobutu's two of his sons, they felt like their father was not giving them money that they heard he had. They say, well, in that case, we'll deal diamonds. So they start dealing diamonds. Then they were arrested. So they had to be put in jail. And then they told Mobutu. Mobutu was like, oh my God, my own sons. This is 1980. He didn't know what to do. Anyway, some people say, well, you're the president. You can change the law. Mobutu said, which law? They said, but the law that prevents Congolese to deal diamonds. That's when it changed. In 1980, Mobutu changed the law. He allowed Congolese to deal diamonds. And that's when Congolese started dealing diamonds and they started making money. And it became a threat to Belgium. So the Belgians in 1985, they had to step in. Anyway, I don't want to get into details. I just wanted to show you how these negative forces work against Congolese. And then once you understand that, then you will know this is a global fight. And then we need you, okay, as much as we need ourselves. But we need to tell you what's going on. So movies like this is very important. They don't really show them in Congo. these type of movies are shown outside. You know, because there are a lot of Congolese outside, just like, you know, yourself also. If you see it, we have these type of discussions, and we have organizations such as the Friends of the Congo. It would help all of us to know what to do, what type of pressure we need to put on our, you know, leaders in America, in France, and Belgium. Because if Congolese are able to take care of themselves, you know, because they've got everything they need. Cobalt and coltan is the oil of 21st century. Why isn't Congo like Saudi Arabia? Why not? You see? So, and that is a serious problem. You know, so we need you as much as we need ourselves. So this type of platform is very important and needed. And organizations such as Friends of the Congo is also important. So you will know what to do. Because if Congo takes care of itself, it would be a place for people to go and visit, and it will be a place for trade. You will see less people coming here like you see in Caravan. I mean, why not? The best way to stop things like that is to enable these countries to do well. All right?
There was another question? No. Can you repeat the question? Because
Oh.
So sorry. Thank you so much for presenting. I was wondering if there was going to be a demo after the results of the fake election that we should come to.
There will be something. We're taking it day by day because it's still not 100% certain what's going to happen. But there will be actions leading up to the election. So you sign up with us on our mailing list. We'll definitely alert you whether to come down to the UN or for people who are coming from Washington to in Washington. So there'll be something. We just don't know yet. We're just taking it day by day right now.
so I'd like you to give a big round of applause for Colonel Lesson and for Lubongi Munianias. Thank you so much.